If you're hearing these words, it's because Trevor is still lacing his corset.
Don't laugh. I'll bet plenty of you men wear one of these.
WLTC. Looney Tunes Critic Radio.
All right, everybody, what's up? It's me and Thad. We are back for another one of these lovely Acme Acres. Such a lovely little podcast that we do it never, pretty much. The last one we did was we did Tom and Jerry. And Thad, you are largely responsible for us doing this one. And why don't you talk about why you want to do specifically? I mean, I said I wanted to cover some of the Looney Tunes stuff and Looney Tunes cartoons. And you said, what do you think about Bonehead? And we got into a conversation about that. Why did you specifically want to do this?
It just impressed the hell out of me. And I've actually gone back and watched it maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Which, you know, as I'll say this about Looney Tunes cartoons, I like the show enough to keep watching it, but I haven't really felt the urge to go back and watch many of them again and again. Maybe Fleece and Desist from that first batch, which I thought turned out excellent too. But this one is the type of TV cartoon where you can tell everybody, like the dog in the original cartoon, killed themselves to make this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
Yep. That's a great analogy. That was a good analogy, man. Yeah, they did kill themselves, and it shows. The effort shows. I mean, the layouts are largely Jim Soper's, which we'll look at later on, and that's one element of these cartoons that I think a lot of us fell in love with right away. Was we saw that 1,000 minutes or whatever it was Daffy Duck, and then we saw all of Soper's designs on his Instagram and stuff like that, and those little animations, and it's like, this guy gets it. This will be so good if they just let this guy and people like him do what they do. And this is one of those examples where that actually happened. This makes this cartoon, even though it wasn't directed by Soper, is because he's not a director, but it makes this cartoon, I think, makes the best use of Soper specifically.
Well, it's the best. Well, it's the best Clampett style one of the bunch, literally.
Yep.
I mean, that was their whole goal the whole time. But as you and I may have discussed, like the best homages in this Clampett revival have been ones to Jones and Freeling, and not so much Clampett.
It's
just quite the designs.
And we'll get into that after this. But I think that is a lot of that is to do with the fact that with the Jones and the Jones Freeling McKimson era lends itself a lot more to character layout based, TV production animation.
Right.
And so there's a reason for that. Anyway, let's just watch the cartoon and do ourselves a little commentary, and then we'll talk more about it at the end here. Look at those color rings. There's no smudges on them. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a colonoscopy photo.
You said you were going to be positive. Alrighty, right after. Look at that. Gorgeous animation. I don't know whose idea it was to do the credits black and white, but I dig it. Mm-hmm. And James Arnold Taylor does the dog, and he's never done anything like this. It's
I know. I look him up, and I see like Ratchet and Clank as his credit, and I'm like, who knew that this guy could imitate Burt Gordon like that?
And perfectly. Let's take a listen.
I'm searching for the perfect spot to bury my perfect bone to keep it perfectly safe.
Now I wonder if this guy knows about the mad the Mad Russian, the reference that the original voice was.
Well, the original voice, that was a guy named Sammy Wolf. Clampett and Tashlin saw him doing his imitation act at a nightclub. Yeah. And they said, hey, you want to do voices for a couple cartoons? And he did Hair Ribbon, and he did some in Swooner Crooner. Yeah. And he was also the replacement Larry of the Three Stooges in Ted Healy's act. So.
Oh, wow. Look at these great layouts. Now, this is exactly what you and I are geeking out so hard about with this thing, is because that the desire is to do homage to the Clampett era and the Tex Avery stuff, and with a TV crew. Granted, a super talented TV crew and some real money, but this is one of the first times where the layouts and the movements, everything is so. It doesn't draw attention to itself. The fact that it's not 100% hand animated.
Right. No, that's great. Like, there's other examples where in the series where it would be a little what I would call over animated, but that was perfect.
Yeah.
That smacking around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, saying you could do better is let's see it. But
Yeah.
oh well, that like you and I were saying, that was a jab at Wabbit. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, and it's an understandable one. You know, I don't want to say anything. We're trying to be positive on this one. That's kind of why we're doing this.
Because it's the most wholly positive short they've done so far. So yeah.
And I'm of the opinion that this one was made and completed some time ago.
Yeah, this had a production number of 88, so it was before the halfway point, probably.
Now, I'll say one of the criticisms that I've heard lobbied on this cartoon is that not enough is different, and I disagree. This scene coming up is very out of Clampett. You know, Clampett wouldn't have a character suffocate and have his eyes explode in deep space.
Kind of reminds me of that Ren and Stimpy bit on The Simpsons that Chris Riccardi did, where his eyeballs explode.
Yep.
So you're getting a bit of a couple different homages with this. With the story, I was immediately reminded of Frizz, one with the goofy gophers, Bone for a Bone, because that had a whole sequence at the end underground too, getting out of
that's true.
But so this is doing something new with old material, so it can be done without feeling like, oh well, this is just a rehash, or you're just trying to do a beat for beat remake.
I think it's the last line that some people get upset about. It's like he says the exact same last line, "This shouldn't happen to a dog," and Bugs kills him. And it's like, but this stuff's great too. Look at this stuff. This is acting. This is cartoon acting. I love all this stuff here. With Bugs being the the drug pusher, especially when and I'm sure this is a Soper drawing too. The guy behind with the lazy eye. Yeah. And I worked as a in one of these haberdasheries before. I've met that guy, and I'm sure these artists have too. You know, it's illegal out there.
Right.
I love this gag. And I love what Eric's doing too, the voice.
Yeah.
This is everything about this is working for me. Oh my god, look at that. Now you're friendly with a lot more people that are you're friendly with a lot more people that worked on this thing than me. So what is the consensus about this cartoon? Was there more or less attention to detail and or letting the artist do what they want kind of thing? Or
well, since the showrunner Pete Brownguard directed this one specifically, and if you look at the credits, he didn't actually personally direct a lot of them. Oh, this is the one part I disagree with you. Yeah, I don't. I think that would have been solved better for me with a cross dissolve if there wasn't so much the actual body horror of peeling him like a banana. But
yeah, that's something that's a lot of people are kind of split the room on whether or not there's a lot more. I would say, I don't want to say gore necessarily, but as gory as Looney Tunes has ever been, it certainly does go a certain place. But to me that's experimentation, and plus I'm a sick fuck, so I mean I've got multiple.
I am too, so
I've got multiple versions of
this sequence here. This cost a lot more money because Powerhouse, they don't own it anymore, so they had to get geared specifically for this sequence.
It's too bad they couldn't get some kind of overall deal to use it in the series.
Yeah, it's music rights are the most evil thing in the world of vintage entertainment now,
This gag is great. This is one of those gags where you're like a great many of them, you're just like, yep, this feels cartoonist driven.
Yes.
Very cartoonist driven, very,
You better bury it before that nasty old wabbit.
Well, since they couldn't have him use a gun, so might as well just do it like this.
Right. And of course, this is again the homage to the ending. Bugs even walks out of frame like that in Hair Ribbon.
Right.
But can I tell you something about Hair Ribbon? That I posit this theory to you about Hair Ribbon. So there's two endings to Hair Ribbon. One being where Bugs puts the gun in his mouth and shoots him, and that is the deleted one. Then there's one we all know, which is he hands it to him. And obviously that's deleted is because it's darker that he puts the gun in his mouth. I think the released version is way darker. He drives him to suicide and then gives him the fucking instrument to do it with.
I just see it that he's so stupid. The dog's so stupid that he'll do it. That's how I see it.
But it's darker. He's playing with a dummy. Anyway, so that
TV just ran that uncensored, by the way.
Oh, really? God bless.
They ran the release ending with the suicide. Yeah.
God bless me, TV.
I know. I can't. As long as it doesn't involve black people, they'll run it. So.
Yeah. Well, that's probably for the best. So what we have here is some Jim Soper layouts that we've just seen. And again, you see these things and they, this is what you would like if you're following him on Instagram or in this case, Facebook, you see this kind of stuff, like his normal stuff. And you're just like, why can't this be in the cartoon? And now it is in the cartoon. This cartoon made, there you go. There's your episode number 88.
Yep.
But there's so much stuff that you're just like, oh, thank God they just took it and they didn't try to squash it into something. It's.
Well, Gabe's board drawings are great on this one too, because you can see them inserted in there. Right there. So Jim had a lot to work with. So yeah, those are fun.
Those are Gabe Swars?
No, Gabe DeVal.
Gabe DeVal.
Yeah, cool. Gabe killed himself on this. So did Pete, and so did Jim, and so did Snipple over in the Philippines. Yeah, they're not doing the green eggs and ham shit, so they're doing what they do well. This is I'm like I keep saying, this is the type of TV cartoon that makes you wish all TV cartoons could be like this, but they can't in the system. I mean, this one obviously had a lot of TLC with it.
Well, I'm not going to mention productions or name names, but I will say this. There's a school of thought that seems to somehow be forming wherein it's okay to hire character designers for animated shows, and I'm going to emphasize this, for animated programs that themselves cannot animate. I'm sorry. I know that there's not a lot of 2D animation being done in this country, but if you want to be a character designer, you should at least know how to animate.
Well, that's how it was in the old days. It would be someone who came up in the system and not necessarily was a full animator like Hawley Pratt. I mean, he did enough of the work as an assistant where he could do the layout job, and he saw enough of the production. So a lot of character designers are like what you said. They're just hired because, we like this guy's drawings. Not necessarily we like this guy's drawings because they work for animation.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of people who know necessarily if that is what the requirement that can be filled. Now, notice here on the storyboard it says, "Please design Russian dog only." That's very telling. It lets you see the actual, the difference between drawing it by hand and getting a puppet rig. And I don't know. I would hope other people could see this, and I would challenge other people to try and see this, especially when you go through all of these designs. Bugs looks so different when you just let Jim and other talented people draw him, versus getting his puppet rig together with because this is not. There's no existing rig for this. This is all drawn specifically for this one gag. And when people say, "Oh, you bitch about the rigging and everything like that," it's like, well, it's not necessary.
It's hard to miss.
Oh God. I mean, we were talking about that to mention our previous episode of Acme Acres. We were talking about that a lot in the Tom and Jerry movie.
Yeah.
This is, Looney Tunes does a way more expert job of covering up these digital things. But I'll say this, because you are protesting and not watching Space Jam. And I'll say this: the the animation overall is better in Space Jam than in Looney Tunes cartoons, and it's not a style thing at all.
Well,
it's
it's
not
a budget thing too, because that's where a lot of Looney Tunes cartoons budget went, was Space Jam.
True, but they're just, but a lot of it is technique too. You've got people like
Sure.
like Spike, who knows how to make use of, like, half of the art now is covering up the stuff that is so digital that when you put it next to a genuine series of drawings, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So part of the budget and part of the art is making that stuff blend with the real stuff like this. Sure. And it's fucking hard. My hat's off to these guys, but I still reserve the right to be able to point out and say, nope, you didn't do that one very well, etc., etc. But, like, yeah, that's obviously the puppet rig, but then you've got the hand here is its own animated thing. And, but then, yeah, just...
Well, there's rigging throughout this cartoon, but it's tastefully done. It's not, like, what was that one where Bugs was getting interrogated by Elmer? It was in the first batch.
It was in the first.
That was hideous. I'll get hate mail for it, but no, that was hideous.
It is, and it
looked like one of those ones they did in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and it's
really bad.
And it's a disservice. It's a disservice overall, because if you close your eyes and just imagine what's going, what it could look like. I mean, it's funny. The voice actors are doing a great performance and everything like that. So it's like, the music's working, the timing of it, even though it's not timed to beats anymore, the music still works. Everything about it works until you open your eyes. So it's a real disservice. So it's really nice when all the elements come together in something like this.
And that's the thing. Well, that's what we're saying. These drawings deserve better.
Yes.
I mean,
like that.
That's great. Like, if that got rigged, it would look like hell. Yeah. But no, that looks fine. That looks very
organic.
Yeah, exactly. Organic's the word. Yeah. So does that. Yeah.
And there's, like, the best part about that is like they're drawings, but there's tiny little bits of help, rather than, like, the corners of the mouth there just being raised ever so slightly in those last two frames. Those aren't drawings, but the rest of it is a drawing.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, this. They're with a lot of these studios, there's A and B teams, and this one clearly went to the A crew. So I don't know. I haven't paid attention to the credits, but those who are more inclined to than I, like, look at those names, and when you see them on the other cartoons,
we do. You're
gonna know which crew did it. Yeah,
Snipple.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, look for those same names, and then on the other shorts, and you'll probably be able to see the similarities.
So,
which is interesting that Snipple is doing a lot more of the hand-drawn stuff than Yowza is, which is a Toronto-based studio, which I visited, signed an NDA, so I can't say much other than that when I visited. But
that's awesome.
I'm just really surprised. Because Yowza did the first couple that, like Wet Cement, and most of Monkey Bird.
I've never actually seen Wet Cement. Is it good?
Oh boy, you tell me. No, I'm just surprised, but I just don't want to talk out of school or anything, but they're just doing the puppet rigs now from here on.
So who did Basket Bugs? Who did Basket Bugs?
I think that was a Snipple as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was another one we geeked out over on Facebook when we were chatting about this.
Oh, yeah, that was David Gemmel's...
David Gemmel is a rock star, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, that cartoon looks like his. That's why I was shocked. It looked like his personal cartoon. Somebody who worked on the production said his board looked like, one of his shorts, like Sexy Batman.
Well,
or something.
Wait, didn't Pete direct that one?
No, that's Dave's.
Oh, Dave actually directed it. Okay.
Yep, that's Dave's. No, those are all those dude bros at the beginning. Those are from, like, a Sorry Guys comic that he did. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It looks, which is funny because it's a completely different style, but which is what I wish these shorts would be like. Like they would look different from short to short.
Yeah.
Instead of having the uniform style to adhere to.
And as a fan, that's something we all yearn for. I remember, dude, when I wish I could remember how I was telling this to you the other day, but stoner brain. But how old are you?
I am 32.
Okay, this may not apply to you, but do you remember how old were you when Tiny Toons came out?
Well, I would have been like 1 when it literally came out,
Okay.
but I of course saw it when it got syndicated and was on Nickelodeon. Yeah.
So when it originally came out, I would have been about 11, right? And if I'm not mistaken, 11, 12, and that was the height of the Bugs' 50th anniversary.
Right.
And what limited stuff I did know, I knew enough to understand the most rudimentary understanding of the unit director system. And I knew enough to know that a McKimson cartoon looks like McKimson's art style and Jones and et cetera, et cetera. And in those early days, they were not, in the 90s, they were not as good as they later became, and I'm using quotes around the word good, at getting a uniform style. I don't even know if that's necessarily a good thing, but they later became very good at getting a uniform style from model sheets and stuff from these overseas studios. But in those early days, especially, it was the beginning of that whole great era in the 90s. It was the first big change to anything. And so
Sure.
they sent them to so many different houses in other studios that what came back were like 4 separate styles.
Right.
Art styles. And the other thing is that this was the first time where they were crediting the directors on the title cards again. So at 11, I bought into the hype so much about it being like the old ways that I assumed, oh, this is a Ken Boyer cartoon. That's why it looks like TMS. Oh, this is a Art Vitello cartoon. That's why it looks like Wang, it wasn't until I started to get inconsistency. I was like, wait a minute. Art Vitello's stuff doesn't look like this. This looks like, and it's like, oh, that's Star Tunes. Oh, that's this. Oh, that's, and that was when I started to become a little disenchanted with the whole thing. It's like, oh, you're not, and I've heard that's why. Oh, it was Matt. Matt and I were talking on the phone.
Okay.
And we were talking because he said that Chuck hated Tiny Toons.
Well,
and I get that, and I think I know why, because I've heard after talking with Minton that in those days, in those early days in the 90s, Chuck was brought in to lecture everyone there about how to do the unit system. So there was genuine time paid and all that other stuff and thought, about doing it the old way. And they didn't, as we all know. And I'm sure on some level, Chuck took that personally.
Well, it's all well and good, but I mean, the unit system just doesn't really work for TV production, unfortunately. Even though
it doesn't work if you need.
Yeah,
it's a quantity thing. They need more than 12.
Product.
Yeah, and how many was it? Do you remember the numbers and how much it was each unit in the Warner Brothers years? Like each unit was responsible for what, 11 cartoons a year?
Something like 10. Something like 10, and a certain number of Bugs Bunnies each, like 3.
Right. So
and
they were basically only putting out 30 cartoons a year then, right?
Right.
So again, that's another thing. There's no show that's going to only give you 30 episodes a year,
Right.
So
I mean, at the rate they're putting these out, it might as well have been. That's the problem.
All right, so this is for the animation fans like you that hate the body horror stuff.
This is okay. This one I didn't mind as much.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you don't like the mummy dummy horror scene where he breaks apart Bugs.
I'm indifferent to it. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not. I mean, I don't know how anyone who's seen an episode of Ren and Stimpy could be off put by it, but it just didn't strike me as particularly great.
Yeah.
It was very early in the production though, so.
So let's letter grade this then. This cartoon. What would you letter grade this?
If it's strictly Looney Tunes cartoons, probably A.
Yeah, this is A by Looney Tunes cartoon standard.
Yeah.
I would say A too. I don't need.
I mean, this is the standard, guys, that it's going to have to match from now on. I mean,
and Fleece and Desist is also a high water mark. Basket Bugs is a high water mark.
I like that. Yep.
But I think this is if our opinion matters to you guys at all, let it be known. This is the one. This is the one we think best represents what Looney Tunes cartoons should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, if they had like 5 of these per batch that came out, I mean, I think there would be very little, much less criticism of the series.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're so good, you can forgive that, you're watching another autopilot Tweety or Porky cartoon,
And those Porky Daffies are not good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be and I'm gonna get hate mail probably for it, but I don't think they're that good.
They're not that good, and they could have been. I'm saying by and large, they're not that good.
It just seems to be Bob Bergen screaming.
I can't.
And I like Bob a lot, but it just.
Bob. I'm not.
But that's like it's almost like the Games Ren and Stimpy era, almost where a lot of it was just Billy screaming and just the same Mad Libs type of stories. Ren and Stimpy do X, and
how great would that be? An episode where they actually did X. Ren and Stimpy Ren and Stimpy go to a music festival and do Molly. Oh, you know what that would be? It would be basically the Larry Fine sketch from Stern.
Yes, that would exist.
Hey Mo, I'm getting dizzy. What's hashish?
Yes, exactly. No, but like I said, Bonehead. I mean, anything I have is the most minuscule nitpick. I mean, this came out great.
Yeah,
my hats off to Pete, Jim, Gabe, and everyone else who worked on it.
The color is really good too. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's. They treated the character right. I'm talking about the dog. It feels like this character hasn't missed a day.
Right.
It's like, especially again, major kudos to that voice actor, James Arnold. Let's see if I can get his name here again.
James Arnold Taylor, I believe.
James Arnold Taylor. Yes, I think that's correct. Yep. Yeah, that is an impeccable Russian dog.
Yeah. It's like I said, I saw the title card and I knew it was going to be. I was like, oh god, they brought the Russian dog back. I really hope this is good, and it exceeded expectations.
Yeah. Oh, that's why this is black and white. It says right there, Fleischer.
No,
all right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So, final thoughts.
I just hope that there's at least another Bonehead in each of the batches that HBO Max puts out.
Yeah. Yeah, and this kind of validates any future criticism we may have, because it's not as though they can't make something good. Mm-hmm. The question is, will they?
Like I keep saying, I like this stuff enough to keep watching it, so something good has to be going on. Otherwise, I would have just passed on it.
Yeah,
by now.
And there's, and it's not like we're saying that this and a few others are great and everything is other shit.
No, absolutely
not at all. No, not at all. But
no, there's fun moments in most of them, and if this came out. Tiny Toons era, we'd have eaten it all up as Looney Tunes obsessed kids. Yeah. I mean, but we're older and more cynical and looking at these products. So I guess it just throws me off when I see like somebody's user profile and it says they were born in the 2000s and they're using. I was like, Jesus Christ! I'm like, okay, well. It goes back to when I was using it as a teenager. I guess that makes sense. But it's like this is who this is aimed at, is younger Looney Tunes fans, really.
I just now realized why this is a black and white intro.
Yeah, it's Eraserhead.
I just now put that together. And I'm supposed to be a movie guy. I fucking love David Lynch. I'm just now put this together that it's... Oh, You idiot. You fat fuck. No one should ever listen to you. Don't listen to me. Don't subscribe.
No, this is
Instead, listen to Cartoon Logic with.
Well, when we get our episodes up and going again, we've got a lot of stuff in the can. We still got our Patreon going with the Popeye exclusive episodes.
One of these days, you got to tell me about how to do Patreon because I'm not paying any attention to it, and I'm sure that's a detriment.
You get whatever you can. I mean, there's guys I know who are making $16,000 a month off of it, but it's sort of a what's the word, visibility thing. I mean, if you got it like on Boing Boing or something, then people would subscribe. But you get what you get, and we've sort of been, past couple months haven't been great for either of us, me or Bob Jaques. But people have been understanding, and I'll put, like, if we're not doing any content, I'll put a pause on the billing. But subscribe there. I mean, we covered all of the Fleischer Popeyes by now, and I gotta say, just going on a tangent, I mean, we've got plenty of guys, plenty of people of decent stature in the animation world discussing Disney and Warner's, but no one really of Bob's stature that's discussing the Fleischers. So this is pretty exclusive stuff over there because, everybody seems to think Dave Fleischer. Everyone seems to think Dave Fleischer did everything. So,
do you know the Rockin' Pins guy?
Yes, Mauricio. Yes, I know him. Yeah, he's a good guy. We're in collaboration on some stuff right now. That's all I'll say. But it's very good if you're a Fleischer fan. So. Yeah, because he knows he's friendly with the family now. Oh yeah, I've been friendly with the family for a while too. Good. Who Max's granddaughter and Seymour Nitel's daughter, Jenny. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's given a lot of us historians a lot of documentation. Just say, yeah, have your pick. Here's a copy. So, trying to think now, but I don't know if you're doing a Space Jam 2 episode, but I don't think I'll be a part of it, Trevor. So.
I don't think it's going to happen, no. Well, what I did want to do, just for the record, how this whole thing started was I wanted to do, I've said for a while that I wanted to do a longer form review about Looney Tunes cartoons, and specifically how it is not the first time that I'm 42, so I've literally seen them all of the attempts, especially the TV show ones specifically, where a TV show Looney Tunes gets together and says, well, we're going to go back to the old ways. And, how many times have I heard this before? Right. And so that was the initial plan, and then it got more and more convoluted, and then it got more and more.
A lot of the Looney Tunes cartoon stuff feels very Disney-ish, character versus a smaller inanimate object, smaller animal. It's very of the era of the Charles Nichols, Pluto, and Jack King, Donald Ducks. Yeah. Very much in that mode. Whereas with real Warner cartoons, it's always 2 or 3 characters in direct conflict with each other. Yeah.
Well, that's the big thing. And if you don't like Disney elements mixing in with your Looney Tunes stuff, then by all means don't watch the new Space Jam. Because that is one of the biggest criticisms that people are lobbing that I do agree with, where it's very, it's one of my oldest arguments. I'm not going to get anal about the fact that I made the argument first, but I did make this argument first back in the Space Jam review, where it's like, they're not the fucking Muppets. They don't care about each other. they don't have each other's backs. They couldn't care less. Even Bugs, the supposed hero of the group, right. Speedy Speedy cares about his cousins, but he doesn't care about anybody else.
It was cousin sisters, really.
Yeah. Speedy Gonzalez knows everybody's sister.
Yes, exactly. Yep. There's a lot of Muppetization when they do any kind of Looney Tunes thing. Yeah,
Thad, you will, like, if you watch the movie, there's a lot of great stuff, but bring a hat, because you need something to puke in every time Bugs starts talking about family. It's important. You gotta worry about your family. Ugh.
Bugs doesn't pay child support for any of his 453 children.
And what's up, Pop?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why he faints, and he's like, all right, I gotta just get out of here. Walks out of the room backwards. I'm like, all right. Bugs is an absentee father.
Yeah, it's I kind of will have to. Maybe I will. What is it on HBO Max until the August 15th or something?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if not, I can give you a copy of it.
It's a limited run, but
it's limited.
I'm definitely not going to a theater. I'm not going back. I'm not risking it. That's not going to be my first theater experience in a year and a half. But,
well, don't tell me you're waiting for a really great movie to come out before you go to the theater.
oh God, no.
You'll be
waiting for a good experience, not a good movie.
I was going to say you're going to be waiting for a while. It's like, we it was a while since the Joker and the Invisible Man and all these other supposedly great movies.
I'm only glad that it's doing well, because if this shit the bed, it would be like Back in Action again, where they blame the characters and not the shitty concept and production
and other myriad things that got nitpicked to death. And I will say this, kudos to, that is one thing about Looney Tunes cartoons, that the executives in charge, I'm not saying they don't meddle, but they fuck off enough. There's a certain amount of fucking off that the higher ups need to do, as time has shown.
Yes,
with Leon Schlesinger and Eddie Seltzer. They were best served when they were not anywhere near the production.
Nope.
And that's not a coincidence.
Nope. Honest, and every second I see of Jellystone makes me feel bad of any criticism I've made about Looney Tunes cartoons. So,
that's one I won't watch either. I don't have the what do you call it,
you don't have the attachment.
I don't have any attachment really to.
I don't either, but that's the problem I had with it. Is like, this is the maybe I drank too much of John's Kool-Aid, but it's like, this is the one holy thing about Hanna-Barbera is the early design, and you just shit all over that.
Yeah.
But I guess that's that. But there wasn't a lot to ache about with Bonehead. Honestly, like I keep saying, it's a good cartoon. It's a great cartoon. I'll go far as saying that.
It's great.
But I just hope that there's another Bonehead or two coming up. But
that's what it was. Is that when I was originally, that was what I was trying to say. Is I was trying to do that review, and then I came up with the idea. I was like, that's taking too long to figure out, and blah blah blah. And then I was like, well, what can I say about Looney Tunes cartoons? And then I was like, what if I got you and me and Anthony and Matt, and we did one of these together, and we were talking about that. But then Matt had to go on vacation, so that drew things out. And then Anthony was having the trouble with his channel that thankfully is now back. And then it's like, and then you were like, well, maybe we could just talk about one cartoon that's good, because I'm sick of being known as the guy who fucking hates everything.
Well, I'll do a round table one, just so long as it isn't just a one-on-one thing. I'll do a round table thing. I'll be negative. Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's plenty to say, and I think that
and I won't be the only one saying it.
Yeah. That's what it is. The whole point of it is that I think that group of people, there's enough of a diversity, but also there's equal validity, in opinions from all of us to pat myself on the back along with y'all.
Sure. I think Pez said it. If you're with TV production, you're lucky if 10% even comes out good. So I would put Looney Tunes cartoons well above average by that standard. Yeah, and it's not being mean, because most of the cartoons made in general suck, just like anything else in any media.
Most TV cartoons are not trying for the high water mark of quality that the original cartoons were.
No.
So it's not fair to judge, really.
No.
But we will.
No. Well, we will, yes.
All right, man. Well, thanks for sitting in for another Acme Acres, and I'm going to hold you to that roundtable discussion idea.
I will. I'm happy to do it.
All right, man. And thank all of you for listening and watching. And if you haven't, give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and ring that stupid fucking bell for notifications. And be sure to also listen to Cartoon Logic. They can get it at cartoonlogic.com. Yes.
cartoonlogic.libsyn.com, or they can just find it on any of the podcast streamers.
Yeah,
we're on iTunes. I think we're on Spotify. I think we're on the other ones. I don't even remember what they are. We're everywhere.
Yeah, and I found it just by Googling Cartoon Logic, and right there was. All right, man. That's all, folks.
All right.
And that is all.
This concludes our broadcast day.